Welcome and let your journey to soul expansion begin. I'm your host, Kristen Kaczynski. This show will take you on a journey of expansion, encouraging you to release the limitations of your mind and lean into the wisdom of your soul. Remembering who you are on a soul level will help you release your conditioning, expectations, limiting beliefs, fears, and worries, and evoke a life expanded by your energetic alignment. Whether you're an entrepreneur who wants to grow your income and impact, or someone who knows in your heart of hearts that you're made for more, this podcast will help you awaken the power that's already inside of you, allowing you to attract an easy flow of money, clients, opportunities, and fulfillment. In each episode, you'll learn something new, expand your consciousness, and you'll walk away with a glimpse of what's truly possible for you. If you're ready to follow your soul's calling and live a more expansive life, you're in the right place. Welcome, and let your journey to soul expansion begin. Welcome back to the Soul Expansion Podcast. I'm Kristen Kaczynski. I'm so glad that you're here. Today, I am telling you all about the 4 keys to my fun, flowy, and prosperous business. And let me tell you, these were not always things I relied on, right? So there was a time in my business where I relied 100% on strategy and the amount of things I could get done. But 2021 was a year of unlearning that paradigm, unlearning hustle culture, unlearning scarcity and struggle, and stepping into a new reality for myself where I could have more ease, I could have more fun, I could have more flow, and I could still be prosperous in my business. And I started to really think about this toward the end of 21. I asked myself, okay, how has this been possible in 2021? And how do I start to bring this to my clients in a more structured way, in a way that makes sense, in a way that I can explain with, examples of how it's helped me? Because my mission is to support business owners in building their dream business their way and doing it in a way that maybe not the average business or mindset coach may expect. I bring in things like spirituality, manifestation, and I really have a blended approach to the work that I do. And so these are the 4 things that I was able to narrow it down. That have allowed me to really develop more ease, more fun, more flow, and still have a prosperous business. So the first thing is awakening. Spiritual awakening has been, I think, the single most, this is kind of like a bold statement, but I think my spiritual awakening has been the single biggest thing that has allowed me to move from struggle, hustle, and force to ease, flow, and alignment. And I'll tell you why. I am not someone at all who believes in blind faith. I can't do blind faith. There was a time in my business where I leaned on spirituality from a place of blind faith, but that was short-lived, right? That was not a long-term strategy for me. My logical brain, my thinking mind needs something more to cling to, right? Like I need to actually be able to experience abundance, overflow, the infinity, unconditional love. I need to actually be able to viscerally experience these energies, these vibrations, and to know that they're true, right? So for me, when I started opening up my awareness more and more, and when I started awakening to my own infinite potential, which I think I have a podcast episode called Awakening to Your Infinite Potential. So go back and listen to that if you want to actually viscerally experience it yourself. I guide you through like a little meditative practice. But as I started to do that more and more, then it was like abundance became my truth with a capital T, and it became even more trustworthy, even more unshakable, even more embodied, even more unwavering, right? And when we think about building a business from a place of surrender, from a place of ease, from a place of flow and fun and joy and pleasure, there's a lot of parts of us that aren't quite ready for that or doubt that or fear that, right? I know I have a lot of childhood parts that believe they need to do in order to receive. And so until I started awakening to the infinity and to unconditional love and to all of the magic that this universe has to offer, until I started to be able to viscerally experience that, I struggled to hold my faith in manifestation and myself, in my business. But the more and more I've awakened, it's only like deepened my faith to the point of like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm like, there's like no chance I'm going to fail. And like, what a gift as a business owner to have that embodied mindset, to have that embodied energy and vibration that you just believe so deeply that you're meant for your work, and come hell or high water, you're going to be supported in creating that mission and bringing your vision to life and creating the impact and the income that you desire, right? Like that is such a gift as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, because you're not in a traditional job, right? Like you're not in a job where there's some sense of security, there's some sense of consistency. You are it. You have to have so much faith in yourself as an entrepreneur. And spiritual awakening, whether it surprises you or not, has honestly been one of the most powerful tools that has allowed me to have that deep trust and faith in myself and in something bigger than me. Okay, so that's the first of the 4 keys. The second one is healing. I talk a lot about healing on this podcast because it has been such a pivotal, aspect of my journey as a business owner. If I hadn't started healing, I would still be burning myself out. I would still be seeking validation through money or income milestones or followers or likes or whatever, right? I wouldn't be at the place I am now where, it's December 6th at the time I'm recording this. Over the weekend, I was part of one of my good friends' weddings and I was a bridesmaid. And I also am selling my mastermind at this point for 2022. And old me would have found a way to hustle and record a bunch of stories and make sure all the content was posted. But this version of me just like mentioned that, this was pretty much the last chance to sign up for December, and posted the little story slide that I have. And it was super low key and casual. And I signed a client over the weekend while I was at the wedding. So what a night and day difference, right? Like the version of me that exists now is able to actually enjoy her life, do things other than business, like actually go to social engagements, actually be present, actually have fun. Like these are things that weren't even available to me a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago, I was so attached to my business. I was so worried that if I wasn't doing everything I possibly could, everything I physically could to the point of burnout, then there was no way I would succeed, right? And that came from a deep wound, a deep childhood wound of unworthiness and doing to receive. That's a big pattern I've been unraveling for over a year now. Believing that I'm so deeply unconditionally worthy, even when I'm resting, even when I'm socializing, even when I'm in a wedding, even when I don't do the strategic thing and get on video on stories and talk about my mastermind, right? Like, how radical is that to believe that I, at the time I'm recording this with like 2,300 followers, can just like post one little story slide, receive, a very high 4-figure, practically 5-figure client while I'm just like having a fun time and not worrying about my business at all, right? Like, if you had told me that was possible a year and a half ago, I would have said, no, other people can have that, but not me. My following isn't big enough. I'm not worthy of that. There were so many deep patterns and deep rooted beliefs that I couldn't have that yet. Like I needed to achieve something in order to be worthy of that. And I needed to prove myself. I needed to prove I was worthy of having a, high four, practically 5-figure client sign with me on the spot. So things have really shifted for me with healing. I've been able to repattern those patterns. I've been able to release a lot of those wounds. And yes, the work is for sure ongoing. That's why I have programs like the Soul Expansion membership, which is, it's only $111 per month, and you get that ongoing healing support. So of course the work is still ongoing, but I've grown leaps and bounds because of healing. So while it is something that you continue to do over the long term, there's this massive shift that starts to happen if you stick with it, where you don't have to hustle anymore because you've healed all those parts of you that believed that you did, that believed that that was the only way to prove you were worthy of the $9,000, or to prove you were worthy of the client, or to prove this or that, or to, feel worthy of it because you achieved something, right? So healing is the second key to my fun, flowy, prosperous business, and also the second key to my coaching now. I really came up with these 4 keys for my expansion mastermind to really hone in on, okay, what has been working for me and how can I bring this to more people? So this is also, the coaching that I do. I do the awakening, the healing, and the other 2 keys, which, getting to number 3, the third key to my fun, flowy, prosperous business is aligned action. So let's talk about what this means. I think there's actually a lot of pressure in the online space to do a lot of messy action. And listen, I'm not saying don't take messy action. I'm not saying don't take action at all. I'm not saying you can't, like you don't have to do anything. That's not true at all. What I am saying is sometimes we do just for the sake of doing. Sometimes we do more things in our business just because we think we have to, or because that'll make us more worthy of our clients. Let me give you an example. How many of you, if you're an online coach who's on social media to market your business and to connect with your community and your clients, how many of you get on Instagram and you're just on there for several hours and you're supposedly engaging with clients, answering DMs, posting stories, yada yada yada. You're supposedly doing things, but if you actually distilled it down to what you're actually doing, the actual progress you're making, you could probably get it done maybe in 30 minutes, right? We have this tendency to just be on social media because that's where we think we need to be. But what if that wasn't the case? What if that was just a distraction? What if that was just, doing for the sake of doing, because you believe if you're not on social media 24/7, then you'll miss out on a client, or you'll miss out on answering a DM. And then if you don't answer the DM within an hour of someone messaging you, then you're going to lose that client to someone else, right? How many of you have those beliefs? Or if not that, then how many of you are on 7 platforms, burning yourself out every freaking week, trying to get the content pumped out? And you actually, when you get down to it, you actually notice that all your clients kind of come from the same 1 or 2 platforms. And yeah, you're present on all these other platforms, but what is the actual return on that time that you're spent doing all of that work? And of course, there's this concept of planting your seeds on the internet, right? We plant our seeds whenever we post. And these seeds over time are, they're nurtured and they grow into a beautiful garden, which is your business. And so I completely understand the energy behind adding a new platform to be visible. And maybe you're not getting a lot of progress now, but you know that you have to be consistent in order to get that progress over time. That's totally valid. What I'm saying is sometimes we have the tendency to add a platform just because we think we need to, because if we don't, then we're not going to grow. If we don't, then we're not going to be seen. If we don't, then this guru is telling us that we're going to fail, right? And something I've really been careful of over the past year was not adding another platform until I was fully ready and or my team could do it for me, right? So an example of things that I no longer do because I don't have the space, time, or energy or desire to do them. So I didn't add a podcast until I had a podcast team, right? Like I just refused to edit my own podcast. I refused to do the back end work, even though I know how to do it. Like I had a podcast a couple years ago in the health and wellness niche. And so I very easily could have done it, but I chose not to because I don't want to just have more work to do just for the sake of having more work to do. I want to save my energy for my clients, for honing in on my voice, for my own healing, because I become a much better coach and leader when I prioritize my own self-care, right? So I refuse to add a podcast, even though I wanted to, like, I don't know, fucking fall of 2020. Like over a year ago, I wanted to add a podcast, but I didn't add it until June of 2021 because I wasn't ready for it. I didn't want to add more to my plate before I was ready. So that's an example. Another example is we're also on a couple of other platforms, but I don't do the work to be on those platforms, right? So like we're also on a new audio platform called Audea. That's AUDEA.io. That's the website, AUDEA.io. So instead of .com, it's .io. I was asked to be a creator on that platform and I was like, yes, I want to do this. This is amazing. This is going to blow up. This is going to be huge. And so I agreed to do it, but I'm not doing the work to be on it, right? I don't have the space for it. I don't want to be doing it. And, some would say, well, you need to be working in your business more and on your business less when you're at this stage of your business. But I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that I have to sacrifice and struggle and hustle in order to get the income that I desire. And it hasn't been true for me. So I just kind of circling back to the third key, because I kind of went off on a tangent there. When we're talking about aligned action, it doesn't mean action for the sake of action. It doesn't mean doing for the sake of doing. It means taking actions that come from your heart. It means taking actions that feel really easy and fun and aligned. It means, yes, doing things in your business, but not doing for the sake of doing because it lights you up, doing because it's one of your favorite things to do, right? Like recording a podcast or writing a caption for Instagram. These two things are like some of the most fun things I do in my business. I love doing it. I enjoy doing it. It's going to take me a while before I hand off, writing Instagram captions, although that is on my radar for, this year, 2022. But part of the reason why I haven't handed that activity off is because I enjoy doing it and I have a really strong voice and I'm a really great writer. So I'm holding on to that activity and I'm holding on to podcasting because obviously you need my voice. It's my podcast. But I'm holding on to these activities because they're fun and they allow me to be creative, not because I feel like I have to do them. Right? And there sometimes is some element of like, ooh, I have a deadline. I have to record this podcast. This one is a perfect example. And my podcast editor knows that. I'm in trouble. I'm a little bit late because we had a lot of social things, Thanksgiving, a wedding. Anyway, so yeah, sometimes I have to do it because I have to get it done. I have a deadline for my team, but I'm not doing it for the sake of doing it. I'm doing it because I want to and because this is my contribution to my business. Right? And so let's clarify here. If you don't have a team yet, then, that doesn't mean you have to still do all of the things yourself, right? Like, even if you don't have the means to hire a team, you're not at the place with cash flow to be able to hire a team, that's okay. What's something you're doing just for the sake of doing that is not actually driving you forward? And again, it may be as simple as just like being on social media all day. Like set some boundaries around social media. We talked about that in our last episode with setting intentions for 2022, right? Like you don't need to be on the app that much. I think we talked about it last week. Maybe I'm thinking of another podcast. Anyway, you don't need to be on social media 24/7 to make a living, right? I have a calendar reminder every Wednesday. I think it's at like 3 p.m. It goes off and it's like, am I spending too much time on Instagram? Because let's be real, that's not where the real work happens. I actually make a lot more money and attract a lot more clients when I limit how much time I'm on the app. One of my professional goals is to heal my entire generation. And I know that sounds like a big, hairy, audacious goal, but it's true. It's something that I think is my soul's calling. It's why I'm here. It's why I have my business. It's why I do the work that I do. And my first phase of starting to bring this healing to a bigger audience has been with the creation of the Soul Expansion membership. And you guys have heard me talk about it on the podcast. It's been, mentioned since the very beginning of this show. And I am just overwhelmed with joy and excitement as I look at the community and the membership that we've created. We have a private Slack community where our members are super active. They're supporting each other. They're helping each other through mindset blocks and energy blocks. And I pop in there once or twice a week to offer additional support to our members. And we have monthly live healings where everyone gets on the call, and the energy on these calls is just, it's magic. I mean, having this community live on a call every single month is something that lights my soul on fire. I mean, it gives me that taste of what it's going to be like as my company grows and as we expand to help people even beyond business owners, because the Soul Expansion membership is intended for entrepreneurs. So if you don't know what the Soul Expansion membership is, this is a vibrant community where we have a private Slack channel. There's 4 monthly healings, 3 are pre-recorded, 1 is live, and it's always on a business, mindset, or energetic theme. So we've covered topics like receiving, divine feminine energy, launching challenges. Future months, we're going to be covering things like releasing imposter syndrome, releasing comparison, millionaire mindset and energy, feeling deep embodied worthiness, embodying overflow. All of these things that we want to be able to step into, expand into, grow into, so that we can grow our income and impact without having to hustle or burn ourselves out or get into this trap of the wounded masculine. And this program's $111 per month. We kept it as affordable as we possibly could so that we could serve more people with this beautiful mission. And if you'd like to be a part of it, you can get started now at mysoulexpansion.com. Again, it's mysoulexpansion.com. And even though it is so affordable, it is still incredibly high impact. I mean, I've had more than one member tell me that after doing even just one healing in the Soul Expansion membership, they've been able to sign a client. Whereas before they joined, maybe they were getting stuck in traps of scarcity, or they weren't able to receive, or whatever it was. So this is not low quality healing. This is high quality stuff. We just are able to offer it for an affordable price because it is more self-paced and more community driven versus, private coaching. So we hope you'll join us, mysoulexpansion.com, and let's get back to the show. I'm going to say that again. I attract a lot more money and sign a lot more clients when I limit how much time I spend on the Instagram app. Why is that the case? Because clients don't come from Instagram. They come from my energy. And let's be real. It's a beautiful platform. It supports us in our business, but it sucks our energy. It's an energy vampire. Right? So yes, we desire to be on it, to connect with our people and to post, but how much time do you really need to spend on it each day? Right? Like, could you spend like an hour tops? I think that's plenty. 1 fucking hour, Monday through Friday, that's plenty to get done what you need to get done. Even if you do lead generation, I personally don't, because that's not an aligned action for me. That feels like something I have to do. So I just chose that I don't have to do that anymore. I just chose a new reality. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that. I don't need to do that. People find me because they find me because they find me. And I'm worthy of people finding me, right? So that's my choice. But let's say you enjoy doing lead generation. It gives you, a sense of connection with your community. Great. Awesome. You could still get that done in an hour or less. You could still get done posting, showing up on stories, engaging with your leads. All of that can get done in 1 hour and then, get off the app, right? Like the real work is not happening when you're scrolling. The real work is not happening when you're searching for more clients. The real work is happening when you can actually put the phone down, sit back, and receive. When you can put the phone down, sit back, and realize, hey, those actions I took are just half of the equation. There's this whole other force at work, and this is why awakening was the first key I mentioned, because awakening really helps with this. But there's other forces at work that are moving this along. I don't have to take all the actions. I take my aligned actions, and then I trust that to be enough. That's where a lot of the magic happens, which brings me to my fourth key, which is intentional manifestation. I'm just going to say it. If you're a business owner and you're not intentionally manifesting, then you're probably doing more than you really need to. Right? I mean, we have the ability to be these incredible creators. How do you think people become a millionaire in a year? People like Manifestation Babe. She manifested $1 million business in about 1 year, maybe 2 years. I don't remember her exact timeline, but it was really fucking fast. How does that happen? It doesn't happen because she's doing so much. It happens because her energy was in alignment with that, right? It happens because she was actively, intentionally manifesting it. And how do you do that? Well, ask, believe, receive. It's real simple, and yet it's real complicated. So most of us are too afraid to fucking ask. This is something I experienced in 2021. At some point during 2021, I realized, oh my God, I haven't even been asking for what I want. Right? You have to ask. You have to be bold enough to declare what you want, and you have to ask for it. And, asking is as simple as this. So connecting with God, source, universe, spirit guides, deceased loved ones, anyone that you feel like connecting with, your higher self, and just being like, hey, what is standard for me now is I sell out all of my programs. It is standard and normal for me to sell out all of my programs. This is my desire. I desire this because I desire to serve as many people as I possibly can without burning myself out or compromising my boundaries. This serves my highest purpose and my highest intention because I'm doing great work and I'm helping people. I'm helping people tremendously, right? And so it is now normal and standard for me to receive clients and to sell out my programs with ease. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for supporting me in this. Right? So that's a simple way to ask. You can also ask by writing it down, but you have to ask for what you want, right? So if you want selling out your program to be standard, you got to ask for it. You can't just kind of dance around it mentally in your brain. Declare what you want. Declare what you want. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission. Start asking for what you want and believing that you're worthy enough to get it. And if you need to start small, right? So I have a client who she's in a place where she doesn't trust herself a whole lot. So she's building that trust with herself and the universe slowly by asking for things that feel really easy to call in, like $5. Right? So play a game with me right now. I want you to ask for $5 to come in today, unexpectedly. Just be like, hey, universe, I want $5 to come in today unexpectedly. The reason why I want this is because I know I am abundant and I want to be able to see that for myself. When I attract these $5 unexpectedly, I will be able to trust myself more and more. And this is a beautiful way for me to start to build more abundance and more impact in my world and the world, right? So just ask for $5 today. I want you to do it right now. I'm gonna be quiet for a second and I want you to ask out loud. Okay, I hope you asked. So ask. That's the first part of intentional manifestation. And I encourage my clients to ask for something every single day, even if it's little things like $5 or a free coffee, right? Why not ask? Why not start to train yourself to ask for what you want, to believe that it's possible and to receive it, right? And yeah, maybe you need to start small, but over time, as you keep showing your logical thinking brain, hey, this doesn't make any sense, but I just received this free coffee. Or hey, this doesn't make any sense, but I found $5 on the floor, in my apartment somewhere, right? Like, the more you train your brain to notice that when you ask, you actually do get what you ask for, then you start to build that confidence and you can ask for bigger things like, a 4-figure client or a 5-figure client, right? Like, you don't get it if you don't ask for it. So start to train yourself to ask even for small things and practice it and trust it and get better at it. So, so powerful when we ask for what we want and when we know that we're worthy of it. So really start trying that now. I encourage you, whether you hire me as your coach or not, that alone is going to support you if you start to practice that every single day. So ask is the first part of intentional manifestation. Believing is the second part. Believing is also the hardest part sometimes. And I find that believing gets easier with awakening and healing. We are more likely to believe if we can viscerally experience the infinity of the universe. Like you can't not believe something that you've actually experienced, right? When you experience something, it's real. When you read about it in a book but you don't experience it, it's not real to you. It's an idea. But when you viscerally experience, like your body actually experiences infinite unconditional love, the support of God, source, universe, whatever you believe in, when you can actually feel it, like physically feel it, then you believe it, right? And so awakening is so powerful for the belief component, and then healing is also so powerful for the belief component. The reason why we struggle to believe is because in the past, we were taught that it wasn't safe to ask for something that good. Like it didn't get to be that good. Something bad would happen if we got what we asked for, or we got punished for asking by our parents or by teachers, or we weren't worthy of asking for it for one reason or another, right? So when we heal, we actually develop a stronger belief in our manifestations because we heal those childhood parts of us that don't believe we're worthy or that believe that something bad will happen if we do actually get what we ask for. And then receiving. So receiving is like a somatic feeling, right? Like it's not just a concept. It's not just an idea. And so healing can support with this as well. But what I'd like you to do now, let's just do like a little mini receiving meditation to finish off this podcast. So what I want you to do now is just take a couple deep breaths. Oh, and if you're driving, please don't do this with me. You can do this later. Just come back to the spot in the podcast. We're at minute 29 approximately. So you can come back to this spot and, you can do this later. So if you are not driving, if you're not operating heavy machinery and you can close your eyes and meditate with me, let's do this now. So take a couple deep breaths. Good. And the breath is such a powerful tool for getting us to relax into the body a bit. So that's how we use the breath. And what I'd like you to do now is I want you to think of something you've been wanting to receive for a while. Maybe it's maybe you're in the middle of a launch and you're desiring to sell the launch out, and maybe there's, 3 spots left that you need to fill. Or maybe you are wanting to fill up your one-on-one program and you need one more client to make it completely full, or maybe you need 2 more. Or maybe you're wanting to receive a specific dollar amount, like $10,000, $20,000, whatever it is. So just think of something that you've been wanting to receive for a while now. And now I want you to consider What if you'd already done everything that you needed to do, and all that was left was to let yourself receive the thing? What if all of the actions you were meant to take had already been taken, were already done, and all you had left to do was let yourself receive? How does that feel in the body? Now, I've done a lot of work on receiving. So for me, it feels relaxing. It's like permission to rest, permission to surrender, permission to go about my day and not feel like I have to keep doing things. So it feels really good in my body, but maybe for you, it doesn't feel good. Maybe it feels like, no, there's no way, I still have more to do. Or how is that possible? Or, well, if I receive that, then what if they don't like me? Or if I receive that, what if they ask for a refund, right? There might be all these stories coming up in your head. And so that indicates to me that you need to do some work on receiving. You need to do some healing around what it feels like to receive. Because let me tell you, every time I stop and I remind myself, hey, I'm not alone in this. I don't have to do all the work myself. I get to trust forces far more intelligent than me to bring me the clients, to bring me the income, to bring me the opportunities. It's like my whole system softens and relaxes. Because with manifestation, we don't know how it's going to happen, right? We take the actions that feel good in our heart space. We keep moving, right? Like, I don't believe in sitting still and doing nothing and eating bonbons. I do believe in taking action. But at some point, we also have to just realize, like, hey, we could actually just receive this now, right? Like, what's preventing you from receiving this now? And is that thing that you think is preventing you from receiving this now the ultimate truth? Or could there be a reality where you could actually just get what you want now? So I'm thinking of myself in this moment, and my expansion mastermind, I am doing a little like mini December cohort, and then I'm going to open up 3 more spots in January for a total of 6. And technically there's 1 spot left for December. And our first group call is legit tomorrow. So, there's parts of me that are like, where's this last person going to come from? Maybe I should post more on stories. Maybe I should write another caption. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. And at the same time, I didn't sleep at all last night. Like, I did not fucking sleep at all. We have a radiator in our New York apartment, and the bed is like right next to the radiator. And I just was like sweating all night. I was so uncomfortable and I didn't sleep. Like, one of those nights where you actually know you're awake the entire night. And then the alarm goes off in the morning and you're like, fuck me. So that was my night last night. And I have a deadline, so I made sure to do this podcast. But I'm only literally I'm only doing the bare minimum today. I'm checking in with clients. I'm recording a total of 1 podcast, the one that's due like last week. Sorry, podcast editor. So I'm doing what I absolutely must do. And I have a group call later today that I may reschedule, but right now I'm feeling like I could still do it. Anyway, we'll figure it out. So there's these parts of me that are like, oh, but you still have to do more to get that 3rd expansion client for December. And I'm resisting the urge. I really am, because I don't have the energy for it. And so I'm, leaning into this deeper faith, this deeper knowing that if I'm meant to have that 3rd client, all I have to do now is just receive her, right? Like, I've done enough over the past month. I've been like heavily promoting my mastermind, I think, for about a month, maybe a little less, maybe like a couple weeks. So the person who is going to take that last spot has plenty of content to go sift through. She's probably already converted. There's just a little, hesitation in her heart. Maybe she like really wants to wait until the last minute to feel into if it's right for her. And that's cool. I have this faith that she's out there and she'll reach out to me, and I've already done enough. And, maybe I'll receive a client later this week for the January cohort. Maybe it wasn't meant to be for December, but I still have the faith that I'm going to receive a client this week, right? Like, I still have the faith that I've done enough, that this person is out there. This person either has been watching me for a while or is going to find my account and just like pop up in my DMs and be like, oh my God, you're my soulmate coach. Let's do this. So I have this faith. I have this certainty that I've done enough, and all I have to do now is receive this client. And that's such a beautiful place to be in when it comes to receiving, because there are days where you don't sleep. There are days when you're sick. There are days when you have social things and you really don't want to get on fucking stories and on your video and talk about your program again. So as you awaken, as you heal, as you work with receiving energy, you get to realize, hey, I actually don't have to do this all alone, even though I am an entrepreneur, right? Like, I can trust these forces that are way more intelligent and way bigger than me to rearrange the universe to make sure I get what I asked for. But you have to be willing to ask, you have to be willing to believe, and you have to open up and receive it. So that is what I have for you for this episode, all about the 4 keys to my fun, flowy, and prosperous business. So again, they were awakening, spiritual awakening, healing, aligned action, and intentional manifestation. These are the 4 cornerstones of the work that I do. And at the time I'm recording this, I'm not sure if there will be spots available, but if you are wanting to go deeper on these 4 keys, reach out to me on Instagram and ask me about Expansion Mastermind. This is a very high ticket, high touch program. It's really designed for people who you want to invest in like custom VIP support. You want one-on-one access to me. You want all the things. You're kind of over like the module by module type of program. You need something more custom to you. This is designed for you. And we do go deep into these 4 cornerstones, and you do receive guidance on how to get to this place where you can relax and have a more fun, flowy, and prosperous business and not feel like you have to do for the sake of doing, but just do the things you truly want to do and believe that that is enough, that you are enough, and that you will get what you ask for. So if you're wanting to really embody this on a deeper level, I don't know if we have spots available, but if we do, reach out to me on Instagram. I'll let you know. And either way, this is like an ongoing evergreen mastermind. So if there's not a spot available at the time that you're listening to this, I could let you know about an upcoming availability, maybe in a month or 2. And depending on the type of person you are, I could get you set up on an extended payment plan. So the investment is lower per month, and you get to go ahead and save your spot for a future month. So that is always an option as well. So yeah, reach out to me on Instagram if you're curious about the mastermind. I'm at Kristen Kaczynski. And until next week, what are we talking about next week? So next week, we're talking about manifestation rules that are worth breaking. Ooh, this is a good one. I'm excited for this one for you. So without further ado, I'm Kristen Kaczynski. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye now. Thank you for honoring your soul's calling today and taking the time to listen to this episode of the Soul Expansion Podcast. If you have a question you'd like featured or have a topic idea, I would love to hear from you. Find me on Instagram at Kristen Kaczynski and send me a DM with your request. Remember, you are a truly limitless being. The limits you see now are only an illusion. Whatever it is that you desire, that's already yours. It already exists in the universe here and now. You simply have to awaken to what you already have. And I hope this episode brought you a little closer to that truth. If you love this episode and would like to give from your heart in appreciation, please take a few moments to screenshot it and tag me in your stories on Instagram, or write a brief review on your favorite podcast platform. Your voice truly matters, and your feedback helps to spread abundant expansion to a broader audience. And what a gift that is, right? Just think about how much abundance will come back to you if you help a friend experience their own soul expansion. And with that, I just want to say thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, I'm Kristen Kaczynski, and I love you.